I'm Bennett, and this is my story of self. Growing up in a family of all boys, sports were heavily emphasized. After the Rockets won back to back championships, it was clear that sport had to be basketball. From an early age, I would sit in the driveway watching my two older brothers play in the driveway with other kids from the neighborhood. I desperately wanted to join in, but they always said that I was too young and too small. But every once in a while, when my brothers were gone, my old man would lower the basketball goal so that I could practice. Basketball was everything, and in 7th grade, I could finally play basketball for my school. I'll never forget our second home game. It was a weeknight, but the stands were packed. Everyone had shown up for the game, including my father. I'll never forget the blue, oversized school jersey I was wearing paired up with my black and white and one high top shoes. I couldn't wait to finally demonstrate my abilities to help lead the team to victory after all the hours I'd put in during the off season. The first half zoomed by. After a brief halftime, I went back on the court and was particularly eager to put some points on the board. The other team got the ball first, so I began playing defense. The opposing team's point guard caught an open line, rushing down the court and quickly passed it to an open player who threw up a layup. The ball bounced too hard on the glass and I leaped in the air to retrieve the rebound. A huge wave of excitement came over me, and I quickly laid up the ball. Swish, I scored. Suddenly, I heard my coach yelling, "No, no, no," followed by a roar of laughter coming from the crowd on both sides of the court. Reality sank in. I had scored in the other team's basket. I was crushed. Even the referee was laughing at me. I was frozen. I wasn't sure what to do. I looked up at the black and red scoreboard and saw 2 points added to the other team. I looked over at my dad sitting in the front row. A look of disappointment covered his face. My heart dropped. I glanced over at my teammates and could tell they were irritated too. I thought to myself, I can't do anything to help them. I tried to explain I was confused. The last half I was playing in, that was the basket to score in. One teammate responded, "Dude, you got a defensive rebound and shot the ball right back up and scored for the other team," while the rest of the guys just shrugged me off. My insecurity set in. I would have done anything to disappear in that very moment. I tried everything in my power to hold back tears. That was the first time in my life I was a complete failure, and everyone knew it. So I told myself, screw basketball. I would prove myself another way. I made a group of new friends, started playing football, and put my effort into making good grades. I worked hard and won awards that I was sure would get my dad's approval. I learned to perform and excel. I would prove that I was a success, someone to be proud of. It seemed to work for a while. I even managed to get an early acceptance to TCU. I was the first one out of my brothers to go to college. I worked harder, grew my social life, met a girl, and graduated college. I was confident that I could keep checking the boxes like I had been doing for so many years. I failed to find a job after college, and my last resort was to get a job working for my father. I hated the idea of working for my dad. I transferred from department to department and couldn't seem to escape my misery. My pattern of performance was breaking, and my fear and shame began to surface. No matter how hard I tried, no matter the level of success, I still felt like a failure. I still felt like I was shooting at the wrong basket. Still the kid everyone laughed at. On the outside, I was the good kid, but deep inside, I was starting to break. I showed up late to work, or worse, would just no call, no show, until finally I was let go from my own dad's company. I disappointed him yet again. I was an embarrassment. Time after time, I continued to prove that I am a complete failure. Who I was on the inside was now affecting every area of my life: my work, family, relationships, and self-esteem. I began to fail in my closest relationships, and my girlfriend broke up with me. I thought that if I packed up and moved to San Francisco, maybe I could change. I was sure that once that plane landed, I could leave all the bullshit behind and start a new life in a new city with a new job. The problem was that my emotions followed and my patterns escalated. I began to lose myself in anything that could change the way I felt. anything that could make me forget who I thought I was deep down. I started partying more, hoping that alcohol would solve my problems. It didn't. There was no escape far enough for me, no escape far enough for the pain of failure and shame that was overwhelming me. I was in a downward spiral and I could not escape. I was now failing myself. I had become the person I feared everyone thought I was. When I thought that life couldn't get any worse, I got the news that my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. She fought the cancer until one night she went to the ER. They discovered that my mom had a large tumor in her liver and she died shortly after. My mom always believed in me even when no one else did. Now she was gone. I began to withdraw from everyone and everything. I just didn't care anymore. I fell deeper into my addiction and eventually lost the job I'd worked so hard to get. Now out of resources, I had no choice but to move back in with my dad. At this point, I'd given up completely. I was truly hopeless. I was lost and needed help. I had hurt and burned relationships with my friends and family. I felt alone and had no hope, but my dad kept fighting for me. He found a place where I could find hope. Driving up to check in, we did not know where to go, so we stopped to ask a guy in a golf cart. I was shocked to see a guy I had known for almost 20 years. "Bro, what are you doing here?" I asked. With a huge infectious smile, he responded, "I work here, man." In that moment, that seed of hope began to grow. He looked over at me and said, "Bro, this is so much better than what we were doing out there. So much better." I smiled and nodded. I couldn't disagree with the guy. He was right. That was my first spiritual experience I had without even knowing it. That day, when I scored in the wrong basket, I was so ashamed because I believe I'd let down my coach, my team, and my family in the stands. The fear that single moment generated in me had been gripping and guiding my life over a decade. My fear of failure had left my life in ruins, but even worse, there was a lot of collateral damage. I had not only failed myself, I had failed those who loved me the most. Now with hope, I had to confront my past. With prayer, I began to see that failure is part of life, that it takes courage to see what is most important, and what was most important to me was connection. I focused on rebuilding relationships. I made amends with my brothers and my dad. I found strength in a new community who helped me focus on my progress, not perfection. God even allowed my heart to open and allowed me to fall in love again. Life is no longer about checking boxes, pretending, or performing. Today, I'm focused on living one day at a time. I still fear failure, but now I am choosing to live with courage. My fear caused me to deny myself, to deny my potential. It was fear that was making me miss all the shots. But today I can find joy in being around my brothers and their families, having great friends, and being able to help others who believe, like I did, that our lives are defined by failure. Each day is a new challenge, but also a new adventure. I still struggle. I still have moments where I don't know which way I'm running on the court, but now I embrace these moments as opportunities to be open to growth. I am more afraid of not taking my shot at life now than I am about failing. I am the one who must and can face fear dead on. My whole life I had been hiding and pretending to be somebody that I wasn't. I was always running away from fear. I was too afraid to disappoint others. But the nice thing about being a complete failure is that the only thing you have left to do is choose courage. And that's what I continue to do. Choose courage over fear. Not because it's easier, but because I have to. We will all have to face fear. Will we run and hide or face fear courageously? We have to choose what is bigger than fear. I know I can. As I look back today at the kid who made the wrong shot, I realize that he actually had courage because he tried again. Failure only defines us if we let fear win. Today, with God on my side, I choose courage. It is courage that makes hope grow. I always feared failure, but with faith and courage, I found what I was always looking for. My friends and family are now proud of the man I am, but more importantly, I'm finally proud of myself.